You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Now, Don, we don't usually do this, but we are doing it. We're going to say how accurate and how much we've been ahead of the curve over a couple of years, and we're going to go through the things quickly.
Why are you doing this?
But
do you want to pat yourself on the back, or do you want to be recognised, or what is it?
Because we take a fair bit of flack for doing this.
Who by?
Just the people who want to give us flack, the pundits and the people who think that we are a little edgy and a little politically incorrect. You know that as well as I do.
Don't
the
know
vocal
that
minority, those with the feigned indignation of saying, oh, we shouldn't be saying that. We have been spot on. Firstly, with the voice. You've just heard, you will have heard if you listen to the last segment. No, hang on, you'll hear about the voice.
But that's just common sense, John. I want information. I mean...
We have been saying the voice is a crock of nonsense.
No, you have.
I
am not saying it's a crock of nonsense. Just give me information. That's what I want. You can have your own opinion.
We have had Jacinta Price and plenty of elders and people involved with the Indigenous community saying it is not what they want and it is just a push for money and it is not, I'm just saying what they say. We've been saying the welcome to country, they're now saying it is irrelevant. It shouldn't be said. It's been overdone. It is not.
I agree with that one.
That's weird. That's
got nothing to do with the voice. Welcome to country.
It's got everything to do with the Indigenous push to make Indigenous people more relevant than anyone else in this country we call Australia, and we are Australians, and the Indigenous community, most of them or many of them that would have some credibility, are saying, why do you have to be welcome to your own country? Jacinta Price said that.
I just think it's going to open a Pandora's box because you're recognising one part of Australian society or population. What about the immigrants that have come here? They've got a case.
That's the point of it, Don. That's exactly what we've been saying. We are Australians. Let me go back to... So that's the first thing. The I Cook Food things. We started this.
Did we really?
You and I started this. We did.
We knew about it 12 months beforehand. We released it. Bill Ferg did. Yes.
Alerted us to the fact that a person who provides him with food is under threat. This now, Brett Sutton, as we speak, is in court being grilled about the dishonesty of his government, or the government he was part of, about routing I Cook Foods, a private enterprise company, out of business by fraudulently concocting evidence so that their community chef, government-run...
I don't think he did his homework just listening to what happened. I think he was a little bit quick off the mark, and I've got a question as to whether he had the authority to actually do what he did, because he was in an acting capacity.
So he is finally being grilled in Parliament.
No, not in Parliament, in court.
Oh, I beg your pardon, Don. Quite correct.
And it's interesting, sorry to cut across you again, yesterday's evidence he was giving, he was doing the Dan Andrews. I can't remember, I can't recollect or whatever.
He is finally being grilled in court about his involvement, and after the first court appearance he scampered to his car, people said, didn't want to take questions from the press. If you've done nothing wrong...
He's not the only one. A lot of people in court do that.
I'm just saying, Don, if you've done nothing wrong, stand there, look people in the eye and answer the questions. He is about to get, and the government is comeuppance. They're about to win this case, I reckon, I Cook Foods. They're about to be compensated. Unfortunately, you and I will pay for the compensation, but they are on a track to get their just desserts. This is I Cook Foods. Renewable energy, the fast of electric vehicles.
But hang on, there's a bigger story, just getting back to that, you and I. You don't see this in private business. Why is it that government kind of funded, that we fund... They've got no compunction to do what they do. The ABC is one.
Because they've
that we just mentioned about the Brittany Higgins singers. There's another thing.
The ABC
the defamation. And
the ABC don't operate under the same rules as commercial broadcasters. They have a whole different set of rules, and governments say anything under parliamentary privilege. In Parliament, you can say whatever you like about people. So we get on to electric vehicles. Do you know this? That Ford, the Ford Motor Company in America, had lost $60,000 a car on making electric vehicles just to placate the new regulations that are coming in. They said we better make so many electric vehicles so that we look as though we're towing some sort of line as decreed by the government. They lose $60,000 a car, and that the government in California spent $9 billion on an electric bus company, and it's gone broke because every one of the buses caught fire, the batteries are not reliable, and they've just done $9 billion out of
But there is a place for electric vehicles as long as they're not compulsory.
But that's big, and you're quite right, Don. As long as you're given a choice, because when they become compulsory, they're going to put $1 trillion industry, the automotive.
As long as they don't become compulsory,
they're going to put $1 trillion industry out of business overnight.
The other things, John,
people
that
don't
come
understand
out of this. Okay, we're at the moment in Australia, we've got a federal government that's Labor. We've got the majority of the states, a lot of the states are also government. Now, what I find, having done this podcast now for 4 years and having to get a little aware of current affairs, I believe that these people are Greens, the Labor people, they believe in ideology. They're not very practical.
They're just liars.
No, hang on. They believe in a kind of a court, but they don't think the thing through. Yeah, and there are ramifications to what you're doing. And it's all very well saying, get rid of this power station, that thing. How do you do it?
They're hypocrites,
it's
Don.
not practical. They just are not practical.
So you might remember, Don, that we said if you're going to get rid of oil and gas and all that and fossil fuels, nuclear is the way. We have said this for many years. Bob Hawke even said it. Nuclear is the way to go. I see Gina Reinhardt now.
I worry about nuclear myself because you had the thing over in Japan.
Yep. What was that caused by? A tsunami.
Yes, that's right.
We don't get
what about over in Russia? Come on, the place.
Yeah,
the big one.
I know. Chernobyl. Yep.
Chernobyl worries me.
Okay, Don. So that was 30 years ago, Chernobyl, was it? Or 40? 30 or 40 years ago. We don't have any tsunamis in the middle of Australia or in areas where there's so much land. We don't have earthquakes. We don't have hurricanes in where you would make it. We don't have earthquakes. We don't have tsunamis. And the technology of building a nuclear power station, there's plenty of them around the world still working and still operating. And if we are absolutely primed for a nuclear power industry here to power all our...
I think we were untapped as far as renewable energies because we've got a vast desert where, only
what
a
do you
certain
mean we're
percentage,
untapped?
about 6/8, maybe, what's that, 3/4?
What are you talking about?
Well, we've got a hell of a lot of sun that just continues to shine in the middle of Australia. Why don't you put your solar power and things along that line?
Because it's impractical. You'd have to solar power half the country.
Their company went bust.
Why did it go bust?
I don't.
Because it wasn't efficient.
They had a disagreement. They were going to export the solar energy over to Indonesia
in a pipeline.
Yes,
they were an underground cable. They were. How ridiculous is that?
Why?
Because there's not enough. You cannot make enough solar panels.
If they come
you cannot produce enough solar panels to put them on the ground to trap.
Keep going. You're giving yourself a pat on the back. What else?
We are. So
you shouldn't be doing this.
Yes, we are.
No, you shouldn't.
So what did we say about the COVID vaccine and
that didn't pass the pub? All of the stuff we say just doesn't pass the pub test.
That's right. So we got criticised for saying we had Robbie Peterson in, we've had people in, we've spoken to people from overseas on this podcast.
But it doesn't pass the pub test.
I'm just saying to you, we were on about the COVID and saying how ridiculous it is, and Dan Andrews closing down this state and you're not being able to walk more than 5 kilometres from your house. You couldn't go out with more than 2 people. You had to stay inside. You couldn't go to a supermarket. You couldn't buy stuff. It was absolutely cringeworthy, this shit that we've put up with. The computer's just, what in God's name's happened to the computer? It's just gone. It's just suddenly. No, it's still going. I think holy shit, it's still going. I think. So we were right about that. We belted the Andrews government, and rightly so. Climate change. The climate is changing.
Hang on, just getting back to the Andrews government, and you haven't touched on this. What they borrowed and have borrowed as a result of COVID to pay people and whatever else, we are all in debt to the tune of at least $30,000.
And all the projects, we mentioned 6 of them. We mentioned the other day, the 6 projects that they've embarked on since they've been in government are $200 billion over budget. The
other thing that doesn't pass the pub test, all this is underground. I really wonder how hard the workers are working underground, because who's supervising? The bosses are upstairs. Upstairs, they're up above the ground. These people are underground. I wonder how hard they're working underground. They're talking about the blowouts.
So we mentioned about climate change, and we had a very eminent person come in here called William Kinninmonth, who was the Australian representative at Kyoto, and he wrote a book called Climate Change. I think it's over here. I'll read it out in a minute. Climate Change, a natural disaster, or whatever it's called. And he wrote it, and he said it has nothing to do with us driving motor cars or cooking with gas. Government wants to stop us cooking with gas. It's got nothing to do with any of that. It's to do with the sun, solar flares, the moon, the tides, the wind. It's been changing and changing. It's got nothing to do with what we do here on the planet.
I think
absolute furphy
to a degree.
Well, to a degree, but not to the degree.
Not to the degree that it is.
Right.
Or they say.
So then we've been speaking about the corruption and the dishonesty of this Victorian government. We've been doing that forever. But
other people have been talking about that too.
Only in very marginal terms.
What do you mean?
The press, the sections of the press, the mainstream media who are on the Victorian government side.
I've found that you've got 2 sources of information here. You've got the Herald Sun in Victoria, which is
they don't go as hard as us, Don, and the Age don't go hard at all. They're in his camp. Way. That's right, because they're just dishonest.
No, they've got a view. They're not dishonest.
They do not represent the other side of the story.
Should get more balance. I cannot
That's
find.
That's what I said. They
I
don't
think
represent
the Australian
the other side
is a balanced,
story.
maybe balanced. But
and what
it's
about
hard
our
to get
great
a
airline
opinion.
Qantas? What about our great airline Qantas?
What about it?
There's a pathetic photograph of Mr. and Mr. Joyce. I don't know which Mr. Joyce it was, but the one I think who used to run Qantas. Anthony, whatever his name is.
Yeah, Albanese.
And Adam Good standing up there promoting the
Voice.
The Voice, with Qantas changing the names of all the cities they fly to. We've got a blow-in
the thing
Andrew
with Qantas,
Joyce, an Irish blow-in coming in here, telling us how to run
He's just got
Qantas.
A bonus of 20 million or whatever it is.
Right.
Now, hang on.
Perfunctory and pernicious.
Just let me finish, will you? It's operating profitably at the moment. I would say whoever comes in after Joyce will realise that the planes have got to be updated. I reckon they've run this company just about to the end. It's profitable at the moment because they haven't had to buy any new aircraft. But to keep up and to continue on, I reckon Qantas will go down the gurgler because they'll have to update.
Anyhow,
I think he's just pulled the wool over our eyes a little bit, Mr. Joyce.
3 perfunctory and capricious people. You couldn't get more standing there, grinning into a camera about Qantas and the Voice and the Welcome to Country. Talk about degrading the great Qantas airline by having all that crap put on them and changing the names of where you fly to, and this is from a man who's come over from Ireland, an Irishman.
Okay, righto, keep going.
Fair dinkum, trying to. So, Don, I'm telling you.
You haven't mentioned my potholes.
I'm just about to say. I was just about to say, from all these things we've mentioned down to the fact that you've been going on about potholes and suddenly the governments and the councils are now starting to take...
Do you realise potholes have gone up 272%? The number of potholes has increased so much. A friend of ours went travelling through the country on a interstate highway on the weekend. And what they're doing is putting up signs, roadwork signs, but no roadwork's being done, but it makes you slow down to a speed where you can negotiate the potholes on this particular highway. I told you one that I went across the other week, 3 weeks ago. Right outside the Red Hill football ground, there is an island. There is a big pothole, which is very, very dangerous. I nearly ran into the island. I was driving past there yesterday, and here are 2 council workers taking a photograph of that pothole. Now, that pothole has been there for 6 weeks, and they're finally going to do something about it. And also you go down to Cape Shang to play your golf. I was driving home there at night past the Dramana drive-in and the golf course on the left, and I hit one of those potholes on the freeway. They are just unbelievable.
All right, Don. Well, there we are. There we've stroked ourselves. Welcome to Country Voice. I cook foods, renewable energy, electric vehicles, nuclear, COVID, climate change, corruption of this government, and potholes. We've covered the lot. We've been doing it for 2 years, and finally, people are not only listening to us, Don, they're probably taking some action to redress all this bullshit. There's no action being taken
about the Indigenous problem in Western New South Wales. Let me tell you that one. That is still in existence, and we let that go about the young people getting into the motels. The judge who was presiding, because they float around up there, the judges, got broken into her motel room, and the next day or whenever those young offenders came up, she let them off. Can you believe it? They pinched an ambulance.
If all the Indigenous social elites like Stan Grant and Adam Goods and everyone else decided to do something because they're captains of industry and prominent people in society, if they actually got on board with the people that they're representing, maybe things might change, Don, rather than just talking about it.
And also listen to Jacinta
complaining
Price,
and whinging about the life they've got.
Listen to Jacinta Price for the problems that do exist in these Indigenous camps in Northern Territory.
A short segment, Don, one that we felt that we should say, because we just think we're right. So that's it. So we're waiting
You've
for...
You've patted yourself on the back. It was a very hard exercise, but well done. You got your hand right up to your shoulder blades.